I was like deathly afraid of the ocean.
I was like, I'm not about to send this guy into a 10K without like ever doing at least a push-up.
I don't need to hear like this validation every single time from the watch.
All right, Simon Lamar. Simon is actually the first ever ASP athlete ever. 2 times Worlds Qualifier in the 25K, 15th in the 5K, 12th in the 25K, 5-time USA national team member. You won Ivies every year you were at Harvard. You took a break, right? In the middle of that? In one of those years?
I took a gap year.
Took a gap year.
Yeah.
Did you guys win that year?
There was no Ivy League sports that year.
Oh, because of COVID.
During COVID, yep.
18 and under national champion in the 10K, 2 times junior worlds bronze medalist, once in the 3K relay, which is 3 people, and then a 7.5K individual. And basically, we've been homies since you were like 7 years old, something like that.
Maybe like 11, yeah.
11, or you and Sid at least have been homies since like 11.
Yeah, for sure.
For a long time. We have a tradition on this podcast where the guest of the previous show asks the guest what? Of a few what?
Nothing.
You ask the guest of a future episode a question. Sid, I need you to unlock this phone. The question is too intelligent for me to say, so I'm just going to play the recording from Cam's episode. But this is basically what Cam is going to ask. Leave us a question for our next guest.
Okay. If you think of your life, and this is a concept again from Jung, he says that you can have something that he calls your personal myth. I don't mean myth in the sense of like a made-up story, but I mean myth in the sense of the story of your life, like your personal myth. If you have a through line of your life, of your personality, of your character, from birth or as far back as you can remember to now, if you were to take away everything that wasn't you, eventually you'll be left with a certain amount of things that if you were to take away, it wouldn't be you. It wouldn't be your through line. It wouldn't be your personal myth. What would you say would be something that you couldn't take away such that if you took it away,
It wouldn't be you.
You're taking away a part of yourself?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a pretty deep question.
It's a loaded question.
It's loaded. So to make sure I'm understanding correctly, basically looking through the entirety of my life, what's something that if I took it away, it wouldn't be me anymore?
Yeah, basically.
Essentially?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a deep question. I mean, it might be a little bit dark, but I do think like if my mom hadn't passed away, my life would have been substantially different. I don't know what that would have looked like, but I know that it definitely changed the trajectory of my life, and it made me more empathetic. It definitely made me more driven, I think, because I was doing a lot of things for her. So I would say that's probably the event that changed the trajectory of my life, and I wouldn't be the same, like obviously if she was still here.
Yeah, that's definitely something very life-changing, right?
Yeah.
Sid and I were talking about it, and like you have to think really hard about that one. And then Cam and I were talking about it, but what it was for me was like the endless pursuit of whatever your potential is. But then once you start going down that route, it's like, isn't every human striving to reach whatever potential? Like you basically boil everything down to evolutionary biology, and it's like, how do you procreate and then pass on your DNA? Like everything can be boiled down to that. That's kind of what we were talking about. And like chasing potential can be explained by that theory,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a very interesting question, Cam. Thank you. But yeah, so Simon was the first ASP athlete in 2019, right? It was January 2019. No, sorry. January 2019. You came back to take a redshirt year. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was like, well, if we want to go back 2017, technically, Co-10.
Yeah, so in 2017, I started a fitness brand called Koten. It failed absolutely miserably, but I think had I not done that, it would have never, I don't think ASP would have never succeeded.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to the 2019 start. So I started at Harvard in 2018, had a really rough time my first semester. Was going through like pretty bad depression, I'd say, mental health issues. Wasn't swimming, was barely going to class. Overall, was just in a pretty bad spot. So I decided to come back home in the spring of 2019. So January, just taking a what they call a leave of absence. So you take the semester off, do whatever you need to do, and you come back with open arms. And that's what I did. Wanted to come back home, go to therapy, be close to my dad, and really just reconnect with the water again, because I hadn't swam, properly in probably about like 9 months or so, maybe a year at that point, where I wasn't swimming consistently. So that was great for me to come back home, really find my roots, get healthy again, mentally, physically, all of that. And with that, I, started working with you in the garage gym of your parents' place.
Yeah. Did that cost you eligibility or no?
No, because I didn't compete at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you had another year.
Yeah. So that's why I was able to, it's weird because I have 5 Ivy League rings. And even though I didn't compete that year, I still got one because I was on the team for like the first semester. But then I still got to compete for 4 more years after that.
So you got a bonus, basically.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you were one of the reasons why ASP started. Like your Olympic dreams, like that fire that you had, kind of lit a fire up under my ass. Because the open water trials were that year in Miami it was May, right?
Yeah.
May 2019. You came home in January. And we're like, okay, we got 5 months to do this. We got to give you every possible shot. You weren't doing any dry land, doing nothing. I was like, I'm not about to send this guy into a 10K without like ever doing at least a push-up. So yeah, we started training Simon in the garage. And then Ben Lopez joined you. So it was you and Ben for a while.
Yep.
Fun fact, Ben Lopez is the guy who designed the ASP logo. This thing right here, I drew it. I drew it on a notebook, just kind of like free-handed it, and then I sent it to Ben, and I was like, "Hey, make this look really cool." And then he came back with that. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty sick," and that's been the logo ever since. Anyways, yeah. What were your thoughts about dryland back in those days when we were doing them?
Oh, good question.
In the garage.
Yeah, so like growing up, swimming at Fast for, who knows, like 15 years, 12 years at that point. Didn't really do a lot of dryland at all. We swam for, 3+ hours every single day. So kind of the last thing you wanted to do was any additional exercise. I wouldn't say I was like a big believer in dryland at the time. And to be like quite honest, I don't know if I'm like still completely bought into it for my sake. But
Says
definitely
the guy who did dryland with us for how many years?
Like, no, but I wasn't done yet. Basically what I'm trying to say is that like, it definitely helped me a lot, like in terms of like shoulder mobility, all these things that I had never thought about before. But when I thought about dryland, I just see like these college guys online that just looked huge and, or high school kids that just lifted and they, you had no idea what like a structured program actually was in terms of, what are the things we're looking to improve upon? Like, oh, you have poor external rotation. We need to fix this because this. Most of the time I thought dryland was just taking away from the swimming. And that's why I didn't really do it and necessarily like believe in it at the time. But when I realized that doesn't actually have to take away from my swimming, it can enhance it. That's when I felt that like, oh, this is something that I can actually improve upon, I can do, and it will help my swimming moving forward. That was my big thing. I didn't want dryland to ever take away from the pool time. Because to me, the pool time was sacred. And I felt like for example, if I got to work out for 4 hours a day and I'm doing 2 doubles, but the second double is an hour of dryland, an hour of swim, I would prefer to just swim. Mm-hmm. In my head, that's always what I thought, that like swimming took priority. And I still think it does, at least for me, like as a distance swimmer. And that's what I felt. But definitely dryland, I think, helped at least speed along the process after not swimming for an entire year, like getting stronger, figuring out where my weak points were. Like, I did have occasional shoulder injuries here and there, and I don't think those would have resolved had I not done, the dryland that we did in terms of like external rotation, doing all those like exercises, and just made me have a little bit more confidence as well, knowing that like, oh, I can do 10 pull-ups.
You couldn't do a pull-up, huh, when we first started?
I could do like
Could you
one or
do
two.
one?
I could do like, yeah, but no more than 3 for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of pool time, we should go over your training history. You and Sid's training history.
Yeah. So
Start from like 11 years old.
Yeah, I might even start like a little before then, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I started swimming, doing lessons at Fast when I must have been like 6 or 7, my first lesson, but also did a few other sports. Like I did Taekwondo, I did soccer, and did those for, I did baseball too for quite some time. And then I think when I was in the 5th grade, I think I decided like, I want to, just focus on swimming. So like probably 11 at that time, or going into the 6th grade, actually. I wanted to do that. But I was not the best swimmer. I was probably like, it was 11. I must have been like 227 in the 200 free long course. That's what I remember. And I think when I was 9 in short course yards, I went 131 in the 100 freestyle. Like I just have these great
Rain Man.
yeah, just have all these times stuck in my head. But I wasn't that good of a swimmer. And like, you would go to the junior, like JOs, right, in Thousand Oaks. And I remember like making the B final and being like, that's pretty good. But then I saw people that were so much faster than me. But then when I was 11, going into 12, I started swimming in Kyle Knopf's group. Mm-hmm. So that was gold, I think, was at the time. And I noticed that I had a pretty big improvement curve from like September of 2011 to like February, March of 2012. I dropped a ton of time. I remember going to a meet at Golden West, and I think it was like 442 in the 400 freestyle. And I was 12 at this time. And I remember I was like, I'm like the top time in the country or something, like top 5 time in the country in March. No one had swum a lot of long course. And I was like, maybe I can do something here. But I was still only training 2 hours a day. And then and I moved up to, at the time it was called pre-senior. And I think Sid was in that group. And that was
David.
With David. Yeah. That was the first time I started swimming with Sid. And I must have moved up into that group like April, March, something like that. Pretty shortly after, shortly before the summer. And, those practices were 2.5 hours. I started to drop a lot of time too when I was there. And then we started doing doubles a lot over the summer. So that must have been like 2.5 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, something like that. And then by the end of that summer, we went to the JOs again. And that's when I dropped a lot of time. I like won a bunch of events, and I thought, maybe I can do something here in swimming. Like over the course of a year, I dropped 40 seconds in the 500 free, or 400 free, sorry.
This was Thousand Oaks JOs.
Thousand Oaks JOs, 2012. Sean was also there. He was a senior in high school at the time. So, and I was like looking up, I was like, oh, these guys are so fast. But yeah, so that was like the training, doing some doubles there. And then at the end of that summer, I moved up to Brian's group. So I was in pre-senior for like no more than 5 months. So it was very rapid, and I moved up to Brian's group. And that's when I realized like, this is what really hard training is. So from ages 12 to 18, so going 7th grade all the way to senior year of high school, we trained 3 hours in the water every single afternoon, 3.5 hours Saturday mornings, all pool. And then I would come in on Sundays a lot of times just to swim and do like an hour. Because if not, I would get so stiff, right? Like I couldn't move. I couldn't train well on Monday morning. And then just kind of ruined my week. But anyway, we also did doubles, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays from like 5 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. Then that shifted junior and senior year to just twice a week. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, which was a blessing to not have to wake up. And my dad drove me all the time because I didn't have a license at first. So he was probably super stoked as well. But yeah, that's basically my training regimen. I can go deeper into a lot of those things. But
yeah, I want to.
Yeah.
But before that, when we go back to your like 12-year-old days, I want to go back to
1500.
How did you know? How did you know? So me, Sid, and Simon, we were all entered in the 1500 together. That was the only mile I've ever done long course in my life. And
it was their first miles. All of them. Yeah, it was my first mile too.
it was your first mile?
First 1,500.
Your first 1,500?
I think so.
You were like in lane 3 or something?
I think I was even in like lane 1.
You were lane 1 and
Yeah.
I was in lane 8,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I was, I think, 17 at this point.
Yep.
And I thought I had lapped you. I'm like, this stupid 12-year-old. Like, I lapped this kid. So I'm like, I'm kind of trolling because I don't really care about the, like, I'm a 50, 100, 200 guy, so I don't care about the mile. I'm like lifting my head, doing water polo, looking at you.
I remember you were spitting water at Richard.
Yeah, spitting water at Richard, the coach. Little did I know, I didn't lap you. You were actually ahead of me.
Yeah, I went 18:03:50. I think
It was 18:03
Yeah,
70 or something.
something like that. Yeah.
I thought I had lapped you the whole time.
Yeah, and I remember like, seeing you guys and like seeing Sean, Paul Lee, and you guys were in Brian's group at that time,
Yeah.
right? And I remember looking at you, I was like, oh my goodness, these guys are like, I want to do this eventually, right? And then I remember like beating Sean, and I'm 12, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like,
You're welcome, dude. I sparked your
sparked my distance career.
Okay, let's go into the nitty gritty of
let's do it.
Of your high school training.
Yeah. Happy to do any of that. But basically, yeah, so started with Brian at 12, and we just grinded.
I know.
Grinded. And I'm super thankful for it. Because without Brian, I probably wouldn't even be like here talking to you guys, because I don't think I would have had a successful career. But he was the one that really taught me what hard work was. And he was like, if you want to be great, this is what you need to do. And I just kind of bought in completely. And we got really close because, he was there watching me swim, and I tried my hardest like every single day. I had nothing else to do, right? Like, and my mom passed away January of 2013. So I'd only been in Brian's group for 4 months at the time. And it really helped me just like having an outlet to go to the pool for 3 hours every single day, not have to think about these like terrible things or my emotions. And that's not to say like, I skipped a couple practices for sure because I was really sad, but for the most part, I got to go in and like, this was a place where all I had to do was just try and just empty out all the emotions, and like, whether that would be crying in the water or just putting in like max effort, being angry. It was a place for me to do so. And I think that's why I also improved so rapidly, was because that's all I needed to focus on for those 3 hours. And I wanted to do something, not only for myself, for my mom, for my dad, whoever it may be. But yeah, I got to do that. And like, I'm super thankful for the opportunity. But anyway, going back to like the nitty gritty is, I think my first practice there was 10,000 meters, and I was like, 12 years old. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm in for, I remember my dad asked, because I used to do this thing where when I was in all my other groups, I used to breathe. I used to try to take 2 strokes off the wall and then breathe. But I remember I couldn't do it in Brian's group. Like, so I'd do a flip turn, take 2 strokes, and then take my first breath. That's what I used to try to do, because I was like, oh, this will help me, like, just keep my momentum. I remember the first practice, I couldn't do it because I was so tired that I needed the breath right away. So I remember just like taking a stroke and breathing. And I was like, oh, that's how you know this is pretty hard.
That was your gauge.
That was my gauge, yeah. And I couldn't, not that I was, ever did underwaters, but I definitely didn't do underwaters when I was in Brian's group, because I just needed to take the breath to keep rolling. And I remember telling my dad that one of my first practices. But anyway, yeah, I didn't start doing doubles until 8th grade. So the first year I didn't do any doubles, just trained 3 hours every day. But I saw a lot of improvement there with Brian. And then remember we did my first 5, I qualified for open water nationals, and I didn't want to do it at all. I just wanted to swim the mile, the 1,000, the 500, 800, all this stuff, because I was like deathly afraid of the ocean. And if we want to go back, I was 10 years old. I did my first ever open water race in La Jolla Rough Water. My dad was there too. And basically, it's a 250-yard race. So it's very short, right? I didn't put my head in the water once. I swam head up.
You did water polo the whole time?
I did water polo the whole time. I was like, I'm never doing this. And then my dad was there, and he did the 1 mile swim, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, I hate the ocean. I don't want to do anything with it. I remember qualifying for open water nationals somehow.
When you were
I was 13. Yeah, I qualified in the 5K. And
this is at Castaic?
Castaic, yeah. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this. Absolutely no way. Went, terrible experience. But I was the youngest kid there by far, and it went well in the sense that like, you know, I didn't get last.
Is that when you, Sid, and Jared were there?
That was the following year.
That was the next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I think my like distance career just kind of propelled after that too. Brian was like, oh, you know, we should do something a little more open water. I think you'd be good at this. And, you know, we went from training probably 10K every day to like 12K every day. And that would consist of like, more. It was like the 3,000 for times, the 5,000 for time, the 10,000 for time. But yeah, like if you have any specific questions, like happy to go into nitty gritty. I could talk about like all the training we did for hours.
When did you qualify? So I'm going to go back to this. The first international competition you qualified for was Junior Worlds, right?
Yeah, 2014 Junior Worlds.
You were how old?
14.
Oh, dang, you were really young.
Yeah, because there's age groups in the Junior Worlds. So at that time, they've changed it since then, but it was 14 to 16. And then I think it was just 17 to 19. I think those were the two age groups. How did you
qualify for Junior Worlds?
Yeah, so I remember that was my really big goal for that 2014 season. When we go to open water, it's like, I want to make the Junior Worlds team. It would be cool to represent Team USA, and this would like, you know, fulfill a lot of my dreams maybe. And I needed to place, I think it was top 2 for 14 to 16-year-olds in the 5K at Open Water Nationals. And I ended up getting second. And
who's first?
Taylor Abbott. And he was 16, I think at the time, or like 15, turning 16, whatever. And I was so pumped though. Like I couldn't believe it that I made it. First time representing Team USA. And yeah, I got to go to Hungary for the first time. And I swam terribly, like terribly in the 5K. I woke up like the night before, and I have no idea if like, you know, either I was like super, super anxious or I actually had something bad to eat, because I was throwing up at like 2 a.m. And I was like, there's no way I swim this 5K, right? And I've been training pretty well. I was super pumped. So it's probably a combination of two.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? But anyway, I swam the 5K like probably close to last. And I was super depressed at that time. Like I was like, you know, I messed it up. First time representing Team USA. I'm a failure. All these things started going to my head. But I knew that had I not swam that 5K, I think I wouldn't have been eligible to swim the relay. Just from like a coach's perspective. I think they're like, we're not going to put this guy on the relay just because if I didn't swim it. Yeah. I was like, okay, at the bare minimum, let me swim this, right? Like if I just need to finish. I finished, and then they're like, oh yeah, you're going to swim in the relay. I was like, okay, well maybe I have another shot here. And, you know, we ended up getting bronze, and I was like, wow, okay. So things can turn around pretty quick, and I'm super, I love swimming again. You know, I love open water. So yeah. And I think after that, then my open water career started, you know, trajecting upward every single year, started getting a little bit better, putting way more emphasis on it. Obviously still focusing on the pool, because that's the way that you get into college, and that was still my end goal. But from there, I think we had a really big open water focus, at least like going into the spring of every year, because we knew that May.
What was the next international competition after that? You went to Junior Worlds twice?
I went to Junior Worlds twice. So the next international competition for me was in 2016. So same as the Olympic year. And that was where I swam the 7.5K. And then by this time they had changed the age groups. So this was 16, 17. So I was competing with 17-year-olds. I was 16. I went with Michael Brenniger, one of my closest friends. We became like super close on that trip. And yeah, I raced a 7.5K in like freezing cold water in the Netherlands. It's probably like 60 degrees. And that was a time where wetsuits weren't allowed at all. You just swam. And it was freezing. It was in the summer too. So like it was in July. And this was probably like left about a week after trials. And had a good trials meet, dropped some time in the 1500. I think I went like 1532. And I was super stoked with that. Like, cause most people add at trials. Like I know we'll probably get to it, but like 2021, I added like 40 seconds. So I was super stoked. And then, yeah, I got to go to the Netherlands, and swam the 7.5K, and I got third. I got the bronze medal. Michael was second. So we were
who won?
Logan Fontaine. He's a French guy, French Olympian, world champion now, like insane. He's really good. But I remember getting, you know, third there, and I didn't like cry or anything, but it was so emotional for me to like get on the podium, especially 2 years prior where I got like dead last almost essentially. And now it was great to, you know, put on the warm-ups with the USA flag, the USA, like, you know, the logo on the sweater and whatnot, and then see the flag get, you know, pulled up. Even though I didn't win, I felt like, okay, you know, I succeeded in something, and I could have just, you know, threw the cap and goggles and said, I'm never doing open water again. And I didn't. And then, yeah, the rest is kind of history after that.
Taught you a lot about resilience.
Totally. Yeah. I super thankful for those moments too. But yeah.
And then after that was the actual Worlds.
Yeah, the year after qualified in the 25K. And that was that was actually my goal. I remember finishing that that season in 2016. Open water, we also went to junior nationals, dropped a ton of time there, got third in the 1500 and like broke the meet record, but didn't count because I got third. That was,
what was the meet record?
It was 15:23:01.
This is San Antonio, right?
No, so this is the year after. This was in Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
And it was held by Jordan Wilimowski, who ended up becoming like a good friend of mine.
Right.
But I remember I was like, I'm going to break this meet record. That's what I'm going to do. I want to break it. I'm going to junior nationals to break this meet record. And, you know, I saw time went 15:22:03. I was like, oh, I broke it, but I got third. So it didn't really matter. So I broke the record, but I should have said I want to win.
What's your PB in the mile?
It was 15:22.
That one?
1500, yeah.
Okay.
And then obviously we can touch on it later, but a lot of things happened where I just didn't really swim in the pool for a while. But the following year, yeah, we qualified for the Worlds team. And I remember, I think I told Brian.
How did you qualify for Worlds again?
Yeah. So I'll get into that. I remember I told Brian, and I think I actually had this up in my room. I want to make the 25K. I don't know why. I think part of me knew that it was also easier to make it in the 25K because they took like the fourth American in the 10K, third and fourth American in the 10K. And I was like, okay, well, I was like 16 at the time. And I was like 17 when I'm going to swim in. Like, I probably can't beat these guys. Like in my head, I'm going to compete with them, obviously. But anyway, we went to Open Water Nationals again in Castaic Lake. I've had some good swims there for some reason, but a lot of qualification. Yeah, good lake. And I swam the 10K. And I remember starting off really slow. That was my method. I was like, I'm going to conserve as much energy as possible. And I was just in the back, like there must have been like, I don't know, 50 people in the race. And I was probably like 40th. Right. But I knew where I was the whole time. And I just kept moving up and up and up every single lap. It must have been like a 6-lap race. And I remember at one point I was like, oh, like, is that Jordan Wilimowski right next to me? And then there were also some Olympians, some foreign Olympians that came. I think Jack Burnell, I think was his name. He was an Olympian that had placed, I think, in like the top 5 at Worlds the previous year. And he was in the Olympic, did super well, whatever. And I thought, okay, I'm in this race. Like I'm supposed to be here. And it gave me a lot of confidence. But anyway, we start going into the final lap, and I'm right there in the top 5. And we're going in, just swimming, and I start like throwing up, like towards the end of the race. Like it was bad. You know, I'm taking strokes, and I'm like trying to breathe, but then I'm like hurling in the water. So, and I don't know if I probably just intook too much water, or like the Gatorade, you know, the sugar didn't sit well. And so I ended up I was the 5th American. I was like, oh, like one spot off, right? I was pretty bummed, but I was really happy because I'd qualified for the national team too. And I'd finished with all of those guys right there. Jordan, I think like took off and he was probably like 30 seconds ahead of us, but the like 2 through 6, we were all just bunched up. And I got there and I was like, wow, you know, these are people that I've looked up to for a while. Like Andrew Gemmell, he's an Olympian. Brendan Casey, who was really fast at that time too, like multiple world championship team member. And then Chip Peterson, you know, who also swam at fast. So I saw him when I was, you know, 11, 12 years old.
And Andrew Gemmell.
Yeah, exactly.
He was living at John Lance's house.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to see all these guys, and I was there. And then whatever, we swam the 5K 2 days later. I kind of didn't like, I told myself like, oh, I should try to, you know, swim really fast in the 5K because why not? But like in reality, looking back on it, I kind of didn't care as much about the 5K because I also knew I wasn't really like a speed demon. It's funny to say because
it's still a 5K.
It's still a 5K, right? It's an hour race. And I probably got like 15th or something. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But Andrew Gemmell, he won that race, the 5K. And because he won that race, he qualified automatically for the 5K. It was either him or David Heron, one of the two. But basically, he was in the top 2. And with that, he said, okay, I'm qualified for this. No way I'm swimming the 25K. So he declined his spot. And then
So you got bumped up.
I got bumped up and like, oh my God. So got to go, made my national team, made my first world championship team, and then got to compete at Worlds in 2017, also in Budapest, technically Lake Balaton. So the same place where I went in 2014, 3 years prior. And then unfortunately had a pretty bad race there as well. I started off really well. And like, you know, for people that don't know, it's like a 5-hour race, right? 25K. So you need to start off pretty slow. Everyone's with the pack. I remember I'm like, one of my buddies, Logan Fontaine, the guy that beat me the year prior, we were swimming next to each other and we were like smiling and like we give each other high fives in the middle of the race.
I mean, that's why you did bad.
No. And then all of a sudden, probably like, must have been 7K in or something. My hip flexor started hurting really bad. And I have no idea why. And I remember like lifting my head and I just had, you know, shooting pain down my right side. And I couldn't figure it out why, but then it just got progressively worse and worse and worse. And I ended up pulling out of the race probably around like 20K. And I remember that was like devastating for me because I was, you know, again, kind of the similar thing to 3 years prior was this is the first time representing the US on the national stage now. This means a lot more to me. I'm with a bunch of Olympians. I'm with Olympic medalists like Haley Anderson, you know, Ashley Twitchell just won the world championship. And I felt that I'd failed, you know, like our country, and, you know, it probably wasn't that deep at the time, but that's what I felt at 17. Like I failed the country. I failed Brian, Fast, everyone that worked with me, Coten. You know, my dad came, my uncle came, and, you know, I got pulled out in a stretcher.
Actually, wow, that's dramatic.
Yeah, and that's why it was more. And I was like, "Oh, this is terrible,
Dude, I can walk."
Yeah, and I was just like crying, and you know, it hurt really bad. But it taught me a lot too after, and I always told myself like, "Okay, this happened. I want to make it to World Championships again at some point. I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm going to be there eventually, and we can talk about that as well." But
yeah, go into it.
Yeah. So. I touched on a little earlier when I had my, you know, really big struggles with like mental health in like 2018 where I wasn't swimming, came back in 2019, started swimming again with you. And you were also my swim coach, like assistant swim coach. So you got to see all the crazy things that we were doing.
Oh, yeah.
And I was training, you know, probably doing 10 practices a week, and they were tough because first of all, I wasn't in really good shape. And then even if I was in really good shape, they were still really hard because a lot of demand. A lot of mental and physical energy. But anyway, yeah, so trained for 5 months, swam that 10K, yeah, and you were there. I didn't even finish it. Like I was clearly not in the right headspace. And something was still going on where I didn't know what was wrong. I'd had some mental block. And like, you know, it was bad. I didn't finish the race. Obviously didn't make any teams. Kind of went back home, reevaluated, and, you know, thought, you know, what makes me happy? Like, what do I want to do moving forward? And, you know, I still decided that I love swimming, but I need to, you know, figure out what this block is. And I don't really remember what the block was at the time, but I was able to overcome it and had a really fun summer swimming.
That was a fun summer.
That was a fun summer. Yeah. We went to Futures together.
Futures, yeah. With Pat Park.
With Pat Park, yeah.
That was a fun meet.
I also qualified for Olympic trials that summer at LAI.
Yeah, LAI. Yeah. There's a photo of me, you, Simone, and Brian.
Yeah. And that's when I really started to enjoy swimming again. I didn't go a best time. I wasn't even close to a best time, right? But I got the Olympic trial cut. And, you know, a year prior, I was not swimming. And like even 9 months before that, I was just in my bed at Harvard, not doing anything, right? Like not going to class, just sleeping all day, being depressed. And, you know, I was like, okay, I enjoy swimming. Like, this is great. I'm going to come back to Harvard. This is going to be fun. Went back, started off great. And then COVID hits, right? So everything just kind of gets delayed again. And I'm just here, which is fun. Like, honestly, COVID was kind of great in terms of like us all getting close.
Oh, yeah. I loved that time.
Yeah. We just played a lot of video games.
There's so much COD.
So much video games. So I took a gap year, right? The 2020 to 2021 school year. And with that, you know, all I did was swimming though. And for me at that point wasn't the best because, and you know me, I'm like a huge overthinker. And I obsess over every minor detail, which can be a really good thing, but also a really bad thing. And I didn't have the balance. So even though I was training really well and I was in like the best, probably physical shape of my life at that point, I was racing so poorly. I wasn't going fast. And I knew what I was doing in practice wasn't translating into the races. So I went into Olympic trials, thinking like, I'm still going to swim well because I'm training well. But I, went like 16:04 in the 1500, and I went 16:06 when I was 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And again, I was like, what's going on here?
You think that was primarily mental?
Definitely. Huge mental block, because what I ended up doing after was I took like 4 days off after trials. I was really bummed and happy. It was bittersweet for me when I saw all my friends make their first Olympic team. Like I saw Michael make the team, and I'm screaming at the TV, like hoping he makes it. And seeing other people like, Bobby like popped off at that meet. I think Drew Kibler made his first Olympic team, and it was, so great. I'm definitely missing on a few people, watching these people that I grew up with make their Olympic team, but I was also really sad, right? Because I was like, I want to be there. Mm-hmm. And even if I hadn't made the team, I'd like to be in the final. I want to show what I can do, right? But anyway, I took a week off, and then I purchased a book. I'm really blanking on what the book's name was, but it was basically about like mindfulness, and finding the joy in things and finding joy in the struggle. And it totally changed the rest of my summer, because 3 weeks later we had sectionals at Fast, and went my first best time in 5 years in the 400 free.
Yep.
Yeah, and you remember that race? Yeah.
That, yeah.
It was a good race, and I went like my second or third best times ever in like the 1500, the 800, and I was like, oh, I really enjoy swimming again, right?
We should go into what that switch was. What was that? You kind of just glanced over it. It's like life-changing thing.
Yeah.
I just read this book and I went faster.
Yeah. And actually, before I even get there, I totally skipped on this part. We actually went to Open Water Nationals in 2021 also. That was in, I don't think you were there. But,
I wasn't there.
Your brother was Skylar. I went with him and in Florida, and Josh Miller.
2021?
2021.
When? What month?
It must have been like April.
I was still at Fast.
Yeah, you were still at Fast. I just still, maybe you were taking like the group.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I remember I wanted to swim really well there too. And then I swam poorly again. I was like, geez, I'm like, what's going on with me?
Yeah.
Right? Do I need, like,
because you would train really good.
Yeah, I trained well, and I was there all the time.
Yeah.
Like I was really, I was careful. I was meticulous about my training, my sleep, all these things. But anyway, yeah, I read this book, and I just somehow found like joy. And I told myself like, I got to stop overthinking like every single time I do in practice. I got to come into practice like not feeling pressured to perform. I had to feel like I had to have a clear mind, and I'm still going to be super focused on what the set is. I'm going to know all of my times, but I'm not going to get so stuck on, oh, I went 59.9 on this 100, and then I go 001 on the next one. Like I can't think that 001's a failure.
It's only 0.2.
It's only 0.2, and who knows? Like that could be someone else's watch.
Yeah.
Maybe the 59.9 I left early. Like who knows? But I don't leave early. But anyway, and yeah, so I just started to, not take things so seriously, and for me that worked out super well. And I wish I could touch on it a little bit more. I don't know what the certain flip was for me, but like long story short is I started taking things so seriously. And I just started enjoying the process. And I told myself, I'm going to have days where I'm swimming very poorly. I'm going to have days where I'm on fire. And that's just part of the normal cycle. And the days that I swim poorly, like just forget about them. Like that's going to be okay. And when I started to do that, 3 weeks later, I go back like a best time, So it had nothing to do physically. If anything, physically, I probably got semi-worse because I took a week off. Mm-hmm. Like, that was my thought. I don't know if the science is all saying that, but in my mind, that's what I thought.
So all of your improvement came from changing your mindset in practice, not at the meet.
Yeah, just all in practice.
Did you change your mindset at the meet at all?
I think at the meet, I just wasn't putting pressure on myself to perform. I just told myself like, I've got it. I've done the work. Just show it now, and it's okay. Like whatever the time is going to be what the time is going to be, but I'm not going to be so overly focused on like, oh, I'm trying to look at the clock during the race, because I used to do that sometimes. But I don't know. I just came in with like a much more free mindset, I'd say, and I didn't tell myself like, oh, I need to go 3:57 in the 400 freestyle, and if I don't, then I'm going to be a failure. Or like if I'm doing pace, I don't need to go like I mean, if I'm not trying to go like 33 seconds in a 50 for like a mile pace, right? But if I go 30.1, dude, that's good. Like, I'm going to be fine. I don't need to hear like this validation every single time from the watch to know that I'm prepared to go.
You're obsessed with the stopwatch.
Yeah. I mean, I like numbers, so
yeah.
and I memorize numbers. Yeah.
Simon's crazy at numbers. I just thought of this. Watch this, Sid.
No, I might not know it anymore.
400 free. Tell me the 100 pace. 400 free, 502.
502, 115.5.
Watch this. 800, 930.
111.25, I think.
It's faster than what I can type it into my phone.
500 free, 435.
55.
1650, 1542.
Oh, see, I don't know these ones as well, but I know 1530, I think is 56.4. So probably just like a little bit slower than that. Yeah, like 56.
But these, even I would know, because like we did these events.
Yeah. 1500. 1500 is easy though.
1500 is easy, yeah.
Yeah. It's so crazy.
What I used to like to do is the 133s or anything in 33s. I used to like. I can't do it as much anymore because I'm not swimming, but that was my baby. Yeah, like you'd ask like, you know, what fun is Brian would ask is, Simon, like this, it's 333 on like 410. What is that? And I just tell him, yeah, it's like 113. Oh, okay, thanks. Like close, it's like 112.
You remember when Brian would do intervals that's like 113 base?
Yeah.
You know, I would follow you the entire time because I didn't want to.
But yeah.
So if you were coaching, like if you were to some coach now and you saw someone that was just like you, how would you coach that athlete mentally?
Mentally? Oh, that's a really good question. I think I would just transparently ask them before even like coaching, like what their kind of obsessions are first, just to understand where they're coming from. Like maybe they say like, I think about like my right hand entering at like this angle every single day and it really stresses me out. I'm like, okay, so like what are things that we can potentially do to have you not think about this as much? Or like what's something that's going to make you confident? Even if it doesn't fix the problem right away, what's going to make you feel somewhat confident? And like maybe you would help them like in that case, like do like a slight drill or whatever it may be, or show them a video like, hey, see, like this looks totally fine, right? And I think basically someone with me just needs a lot of reassurance. And it's kind of weird because I pride myself on being at the time like really mentally strong in the pool and like give me any set and I'll probably do it. I might not do it, well all the time, or I might not make the intervals, but I'm going to try every single time. But at the same time, like I'm someone that like loves reassurance to know that I'm doing a good job. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something that I really struggled with. I had like that insecurity that I needed, someone else to tell me that. Even if I knew I was killing it, I wanted someone to tell me that to make me feel confident. So I think that's what I would do with someone myself. I was like, hey, you're doing a really good job. Like you're going to kill it at this meet. Or, sometimes I even needed like, hey, you didn't do a good job today. Okay. What do I need to do to get better? So I think just being upfront with that swimmer and letting them know, like, they need this reassurance, or I need to tell them like, hey, need to get you back on track. Because that's what Brian did for me in terms of like getting me back on track. Like he's like, you're drifting off a little bit. Let's get you back on track. Like whether I was like, mentally just not focused in the practice or whatever it may be. And whenever he did that, I usually felt bad. I felt really bad because like, oh, he's putting his time and effort into me. Or like my dad's, like he drove me to practice, waiting 3 hours, and then he's going to cook for me. He's got to drive me to school. He's thinking, okay, the least I can do is put like 100% effort in what I'm doing. And, that's not to say that some days are going to go the other way. And I think that's just natural. But anyway, the way I'd coach this person is like reassurance and telling them that they're doing a good job. And I probably try to give them pretty hard sets too, to test them, to test like their mental fortitude, I think. 'Cause that's something that I liked. Like when Brian would give me something that I didn't think I could do.
Give me an example set. Sid can chime in here too if he wants.
There's a lot, but I think one thing that doesn't really sound that hard, but I remember when I did it for the first time, I was so happy. It was 15 100s on 115 is all long course. 10 100s on 110, 5 100s on 105. I'm going to, make the 15 on 115, make the 10 on 110, no problem. The 5 on 105, I would make like 3. And I'd always be so upset at myself, right? But I remember telling myself, "Listen, one day I'm going to get this set." And I think that's what Brian kept giving me the set. It's not like he gave it to me every week, right? But I remember he gave it to me, and I did it. I was like, oh my goodness, I did this set. And then one time he actually gave me an even harder set. I think it was 10 ones on 105 at the end of practice, and I'd already done 13,000 meters. and he gave me 10 ones on 105 long course. And I was like, there's no way I'm making this. Like, I just swam 13 grand. I'm exhausted. But he challenged me to do it. And I made the set. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I needed this. Yeah. I needed someone to give me a set that I didn't think I could do. And then when I did it, you feel so accomplished, and it gives you crazy confidence. Because I think the thing for me is going into every single meet in like high school, I was like, I know the kid next to me hasn't done this work. Like, I absolutely know. There's no way this kid did 13 grand and then did 10 ones on 105, right? Even if I would lose to them, I at least had the confidence knowing that I probably put in more work than the person next to me in terms of being in the water. There are obviously there are also different factors that go into like whether you succeed or not. But for me, that gave me a huge confidence boost.
How important is confidence boosts from practices like that for distance swimming?
Oh, I think it's the biggest boost, honestly. But honestly, what I've also learned, like this is a little bit of a tangent, is that as long as you have confidence, like you're probably going to swim pretty well. I know, like, because I noticed even when I was training really well and I didn't have confidence, I swam poorly. But if I wasn't training as well as I would have liked to, or I noticed that, maybe I trained better, like a month prior, but going into meet, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do well here. I think I can do well. You do a lot better than you think you could do. The mind is really strong. And so I don't, like, that's not to say it. You should definitely put in the work in the water, in the weight room, whatever it may be. But if you come into the meet having, loads of confidence for whatever reason that may be, I usually think you're going to perform pretty well.
So you think like strong mind, not as strong body is stronger than strong body, weak mind?
Totally. Because swimming is like, it's a pressure cooker. And like you're in your head the whole time.
Especially distance swimming. Sprint swimming's a little bit different, I think.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. But like, when you're swimming, you're doing a race for 2 hours. You have to be mentally strong, right? For those 2 hours. And if you're not, or you come in with, not a lot of confidence, that 10K is going to go poorly. And that's happened to me before too. I noticed when I come in with a boatload of confidence, I'm usually doing really well in those 10Ks. Every 10K that I swam where I was confident, and like even if I hadn't training super well, I did well.
So if you can go back in your career and you can manufacture confidence for yourself, how would you do that?
Ooh, manufacture confidence? I'm not entirely sure how to like manufacture the confidence, but I think, I probably would have done well for me to just like believe in myself, or like have someone say like, you can be this, like you can do this. And like that, I think that goes back to the reassurance piece, is like, be confident in what you've done. Someone to tell me that. So I wouldn't continue to overthink it like at home. Sometimes I go at home and have a bad practice. Oh my goodness, I couldn't do anything. Like
that's all you would think about.
All I would think about. I think I do my homework. Like I had such a bad set today. I'm like a failure. I'm not doing anything. So, someone to tell me these things like, it's not that deep. You're on the right track, but you need to be confident. And that's something I still struggle with today. Like in the, post swimming, I worked at like consultancy for a bit, and I always thought I was doing a bad job, no matter what.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think, I have like some of this obsession of wanting to be perfect, while knowing that, like most things aren't going to be perfect. Like hardly anything is ever perfect. And yeah, I really have no idea where it comes from. I think I was just striving I felt that if I wasn't perfect, I was failing, not necessarily myself, but I was failing someone else that had sacrificed something for me. And I really struggled with that. And I think I still do at times. Because I had, like a coach at work that, would help me out with a lot of things and teach me things. But if I wouldn't get it right away, I'm like, oh, I'm failing him. Like he spent his time helping me out. So I think I took a lot of things like transactional, even though they're not transactional. Like he's probably helping me out because he wants to be a good person. Right. And I would do the same exact thing for someone who's in my shoes. Like I don't need you to do anything for me, and just because I helped you out. So I think that's part of it.
You just hate letting people down.
Hate letting people down.
Do you think that answers Cam's question in a way? Just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
You don't want to let people down itis.
Yeah. Basically, I hate letting people down.
Yeah.
Like hate it. Like, when I didn't finish that at 10K in Miami. Oh my goodness. Like the guilt that I felt was incredible. Incredible. I felt like I let Brian down. I let my dad down. I let you down. All these people that spent hours and hours and hours helping me. I felt like, I almost wanted it more for them than I wanted it for me. Mm-hmm. That's something I struggled with.
That was a dark afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we got Cuban food, right? That was pretty good.
Yeah,
that kind of livened the mood.
Yeah.
Up.
I think we actually went to the gym in the hotel too, and we just kind of messed around.
Did we?
Yeah. And they had these big chess pieces outside that we did. I think you just wanted to make me feel better. So we just went outside.
Oh, yeah. I remember this. Yeah. Wow. Tell me more crazy sets, because we can go on.
Yeah.
About sets.
Yeah. I'll do I'll do the big one. This is actually coming up on the 10-year anniversary. December 31st, 2015. 1500s. LCM. And I remember Brian was like, we're going to do 1500s. I think he told me probably a couple of days before. Sure.
What is that, 22.5?
Yeah, 22.5K. He's like, come in at 6 and we'll be done by 11. Because 1500s on 20, 5 hours.
20 is what pace?
It's not that fast, 120. But I remember hopping in and...
did you do like a warm-up, or your first one was on
First 120? One was a 1500 on 120. Like paddles too. And that was the time, I didn't do any stretching.
You just hopped in.
I think my dad and I woke up that morning and he made me an omelet and he gave me some strawberries. And that's all I had for that.
Did you bring any fuel?
I think I might have brought a Cliff Bar, or someone gave me a Cliff Bar, something like that. And I had like half of it. So I couldn't eat. But yeah, I did 1500s. So that went from 6 to 11 a.m.
Did you make it? All of them?
Oh yeah. No problem. But I remember, I think it was like the 12th one. I was like, I'm feeling good here. It's kind of crazy to say because you're like 16,500 in at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me push this one a little bit. I went 16, 40 something. It's a long course. It's pretty fast. It was like 107 pace.
That's my next question.
Yeah. 107. I'm in a good spot here. Then I started the 13th one. I was like, ooh.
Oops.
I was like, that was not smart. And I was just dying on the last two. But the one thing that helped me out on the last one was John Urbanchik came. And he came from USC. He drove, I think he ended the practice early because he knew that I was doing this set. And he came, he cheered me on a little bit, like Sid and, a couple of people that were still there, helped me get to the end. So they stayed an hour after practice because they were from 7 to 10. And, I got to finish, and the last one was 18 something. So it was under 116 pace, but it was I was dying.
Of course you remember that.
Yeah. It was on the 18, probably 1840 something. And whatever, I finished it. And I think I posted it on Twitter one time, and then Swim Swam also was like, this is kind of crazy.
Retweeted it.
Yeah, they retweeted it, or they put it on their top 10 swim tweets of the week. And mine was one of them. And I remember being super happy about that too. So I'm recognized by Swim Swam. But yeah, so that was obviously one of the hardest sets. And then it actually went on a progression after that. We did 12 1500s on 19 minutes. I must have done that a few months later. And then I did 9 of them on 18 minutes. And I actually think you were there for that.
The 9 on 18?
Yeah, for some reason you were there. I don't know what the reason, but you were there and you saw, and I think you posted it on your Snapchat story too. And we were like, LOL, this guy just did 9 1500s. Yep.
I don't remember this.
And 9 1500s on 18. And then later that summer, I did 6 1500s on 17 minutes. That one was hard. And 108
gear?
pace. Yeah, like one paddle, like one swim, something like that. Or it was like two, I forget. It was a combination of paddles and a couple swims. That one was really hard because, it's 9,000 meters at 108 pace. And that's like assuming you get no breaks.
You're basically doing a 10K for time.
Basically. But you try to push it because you want to get like a sip of water. So that's what I tried doing. I was like, I'm gonna rip one right now, and I just need to get a bev before I push off. And so I did that one. I was super pumped about that one. And technically, the last part of the progression was 3 on 16. I never got to that one. So still like the Scarlet Letter. But that one is probably, I don't know how many people can do like 1500 on 16. And especially this is 10 years ago. And basically, at the time I was like, I have no idea. Like, I think the people that in my head that could make that set at that time was like Greg Paltrinieri. And probably like, I think Jordan probably could have made that set. There are definitely other people, right?
Yeah,
but those are the two
sure.
that came to mind. And Greg is like my idol, right? So I was like, oh, I'd love to see him do a set like this. But anyway, never got to that. And then
You should send it to him.
Yeah, and Greg,
Is he still swimming?
Yeah, he's still swimming. Yeah, he got it surgery this past summer because he like broke something, but he's still going. But I'd say those are the hardest sets, that progression. And then honestly, anytime doing like a 10K for time, those ones are tough.
There's more outrageous stuff you've done.
Yeah, there's definitely. Like
How week that we did.
yeah, we did like some.
tried to go
Before the
120K.
Mesa Grand Prix, remember?
Yeah, we swam like 120K. Or,
Brian was aiming to hit 120K in 6 days.
yeah, I think we hit like.
I hit 118.
I was a little bit less. I remember I had to leave early one day because I had like a high school.
120K in 6 days?
Yeah, it was like 20K day.
I remember I was bummed though because I only hit 118 and I was so close.
Only 118?
Yeah.
Holy.
But I've done,
You guys were doing doubles, right? So
Yeah.
210s.
It was like 2.5 in the morning, and then we did on one of the days it was like 3.5 or 4 or some shit.
some crazy. Yeah, we did a lot of crazy stuff. But yeah.
In that week, we had a 100 best average on 120.
Yeah. Oh, I was dying
I
that.
remember you were hurting.
Yeah, I was hurting. I was probably going like
You were
118s.
going like what? Because I remember I was holding
100 on 120.
best average.
Best average.
Best average. What were you holding?
Dude, I was terrible.
I had a good set
Yeah.
today, and I remember you and Jared were hurting.
Yeah, I was hurting.
What were you holding?
I remember I was doing pretty well. I don't remember what, but I remember I was like surprisingly beating you guys.
Yeah.
At that point, I was slower than you guys, and I was like, for some reason, beating you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That set was terrible for me. That was a bad week. I was 14. In 8th grade.
I remember you guys came to Mesa Grand Prix after that, and you guys all swam terrible.
Terrible.
Shit.
Yeah. The other set that I'm thinking of right now that I've done this a few times, but the hardest one I did 10 400 IMs on 530 in long course. That one is not like, that one's just hard because at a point you're like doing a lot of butterfly.
It's like muscularly hard.
And you know me, I'm like a terrible breaststroker, right?
Yeah.
Like terrible. And you're not getting that much rest because I'm not an IMer, right?
Right.
Like I just have the aerobic capacity to be able to swim IM. So I'm not getting a ton of rest, probably like 10, 15 seconds rest. And that one was tough.
Were you there for 10 750s? Finger paddle, D-band, parachute?
Oh, yeah.
I've done something similar. I've done 10 800s with the purple parachute. Not the big cone parachute.
Yeah, but
I've done 10 800s with that parachute.
Yeah, that's insane. Like I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then another set that I did, that was pretty tough. So, we never got to it, but we could talk about when I made the 25K again in 2022. That was like probably the highlight.
Let's go back to that.
Yeah. So,
I forget about that.
Yeah.
Part of your life.
Yeah. So essentially, open water is kind of weird in the sense that like qualifying for the national team is usually at one meet. And there was a period where they were kind of trying to change a lot of things about the qualification. Like, should we do it like every 6 months? Should we do it every year? Whatever that may be. And they had a qualification in 2021 in Las Vegas. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was in October.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I remember.
Yeah. And that's when I made my first national team again after like a 4-year hiatus. And I think that was like the point where I was like, oh, okay, I made it back again.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like giving hugs to like the national team open water director, like Bryce Elser, because it was really sad. Like I was buddies with all these people and then they kept kind of going and I was going the opposite
Left
direction,
back.
right? Left back. and I made it, and I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I climbed this hill. Like, I haven't hit the mountain yet, but like I climbed this hill, and now I'm back. But anyway, yeah. So kept swimming there. 2021, 2022 year, was still at Harvard. Got COVID before the Ivy League championships, so I couldn't swim. I was super bummed because our team was insane that year. Like, we had Dean, who was in his senior year. I think we did really well. I forget what we got, but my roommate is Umit. He's a Turkish Olympian. And, you know, we were up there. We're like making finals. Like, we were getting 9th in the medley relays, you know, things like that, you know, where that no one ever thinks of like an Ivy League school as being that good of a team. So I was really upset. But I told myself, like, okay, I'm not swimming at Ivies. I'm just going to shift all my focus now to open water. And the thing that about Ivy Leagues that's a little bit interesting is, and Harvard particularly, is that no one really does open water, first of all. And there's not really like a dedicated, like, you know, program for people to want to see this through. And in that sense, so a lot of the training I did was alone too, because also the pool time is much more limited at Harvard because you're splitting it with not only like a women's team, you're splitting it with water polo, who also have men's and women's, and then it's also has to be open to the for recreational swim. So I'd have to come in at these weird hours, and I would just swim alone, 2 hours, like twice a day. And I'd have Brian send me workouts, and you know, those workouts are hard. And I was struggling at this time mentally too, because I've got to go alone to this cold pool, swim 10 grand to try to make a national team and try to make like a world championship team. And whatever, did that and went to open water nationals, did really well. I qualified for the national team again. And
what place were you again?
Well, that's a good question. I was probably like the fifth American or something. They take 6 Americans for the national team. Yeah, I think I was 5th.
Skylar was in that race too.
Yeah, I think Scott.
Or
yeah.
was he in the race after? I can't remember.
He was there. He was at
there.
the meet. Yeah.
Maddie and I were there.
Yeah. And you know, then we go to like Portugal. We do like an open water like World Cup race, and it's the first time I'd represented the U.S. in like 5 years at this point. And I just missed out on the world championship team by 1 spot again. I was like, oh, I'm really bummed. Whatever. Let me shift my focus to like training for this World Cup. And then I got a call like 3 weeks before Worlds was supposed to start. Like, hey, like, you know, Michael is sick. Do you want to come to Worlds and swim the 25K? Brenniger. Yeah. And I said, yeah. Like, sure. But with that, you know, I'm back home here, and I think I text Brian, or I call Brian, and I'm with my dad at the time, and I'm like, hey, like, I just got a call to 25K. Like, we need to start ramping up training. We need to, like, you know, start putting it in now. So 2 weeks, 100K each week, and in 6 days too, I think. So it's like pretty fast. And I remember what we did was we did 10 practices each of those week. Each practice was 10,000. It always started with like 1,000-ish warm up, 8,000 of like pretty hard swimming, then 1,000 easy. That was what we did almost every single workout. So going back to like the hard sets, in preparation for that, this is a funny story. I came in the afternoon one day, and Brian gave me 3,300s long course with a cord buoy. Like I've on. It wasn't like a crazy fast interval, but it wasn't easy. It was on descending intervals. I think it was like 4:15, 4 minutes, 3:45 or something. So it gets kind of fast with a cord buoy. With a cord buoy. Yeah.
For context, a cord buoy is a little bungee, and then there's a little buoy. It's not a little buoy. It's actually a pretty big buoy attached. So it acts like a parachute, but it doesn't get caught in your feet.
Yeah, exactly. And a little bit easier to swim with than a parachute. Like not as much resistance, but you know, it's harder than it looks.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
And so I did 3,300s, and the funny thing was like the practice was, you know, only 2 hours, but I kept going, and some of the little kids had like joined the 6 and 7 year olds for like jumping in my lane. And the worst part was like Brian also left because he didn't know that I was still swimming. And then I texted him and I was like, "Oh, haha, like was it too boring or something?" And then he called me right after. I had no idea you were still swimming. I'm so sorry. I totally forgot. So that was a hard one because it was just like 3,300 the cord buoy. And you know me, I hate resistance. Yeah. I hate resistance. So that was another tough one. But then got to go to Worlds. So on the 25K there.
That was Budapest, right?
Yeah. So 3rd time in Hungary swimming in open water, like world championship level meet. But I remember going, this was super fun for me because I, again, like almost like climbed another hill. Like, even though I technically didn't qualify, I got to go from certain circumstances and I wanted to make the most of it. And, we got there, and the really cool thing was that we got to actually hang out with the pool team and stay in the same hotel as the pool team, because typically the open water used to be before the pool swimming. It changes like every year, but and this time the pool swimming was before the open water. And we didn't do like a proper training camp. We just went directly to Hungary, get acclimated like a week before, and just train. But with that, it's awesome to go into the pool venue, get to finally interact with these people, meet all of these, fantastic swimmers that are winning, world championship medals, and seeing like these people up close and like getting to know them. Because I really felt the open water and the pool team were so secluded from each other. Like, I guarantee you there were people on the pool team that had no idea who I was, right? Like before, because how would they know? We're never really at the same meets.
Yeah.
And if they don't follow swimming, like they're not swimming nerd, they may not know, right? But this is the first time we really got to do that and felt like a part of the team. Like, I think Anthony Nesty was the head coach of that world championship team. And, I've known who Nesty was for like, at that point, for like 15 years. He's like Olympic champion, 100 fly, coach at Florida, all these things. Like, oh, wow, I get to sit at the table with this guy. And like, we had lunch together and it was, just a great experience. But anyway, getting back to it. Was going to swim the 25K. And then I actually I got up from lunch one day, and one of the open water directors said, "Hey, like, Simon, can we talk real quick?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And he said, "Hey, so Joey, who was another swimmer who was going to swim the 5K and the 25K, he had contracted COVID like a little bit before, and so he couldn't make it to Worlds for the date of the 5K. And they're like, we have to. Do you want to swim this?" I said, "Yeah."
Speed demon.
I was like, "I'll do the 5K," especially because I had gone from not even qualifying for the meet to now swimming 2 events.
Right.
And
I forget about this.
So, got to go, and I, called Brian, called my dad, all these things, and I was super excited. But also, going to 5K, I thought to myself, what's the worst that can happen? Get like last. I'm still going to swim the 25K.
Right.
And that's what I came here for. Like, I didn't really, and the thing is, when you're training for a 25K and a 5K, even though they're very long, they're still a lot different in terms of the training that you do. Yeah. Like the 5K, you need to have pop, which is crazy to say, but like you do. You need to be able to start off fast and keep that pace going, or else you're just going to get left behind. 25K is different, right? That's just all like mental and like more strategy based. So I swam the 5K, got to swim, I got 15th. I was like, that was pretty good. Way better than I thought, honestly. I thought I had gotten like 30th for some reason. Because the guys that won were just flying. Like it was like Florian Welbrock, Romanchuk, and Greg. I think they went 1, 2, 3. And I think the pace, they were only 102. And like no flip turns for 5K, right? That's moving.
That's crazy.
And these guys are a different level.
What is that, like 58 minutes?
No. It was like 52 minutes or something.
52 minutes?
Yeah. It was really fast. And, they finished whatever. I got 15th and I was, it's a good swim. Now I focus on the 25K. So, the 25K was supposed to start at 9 a.m. And I think the day before they said, we got to start this at 7 a.m. because it is way too hot in Hungary. And it was blazing. So we start the race at 7 a.m. And I think the water, it was like 83 degrees for a 5-hour race.
Yeah.
People got out because it was too hot.
Yeah.
They couldn't continue, like they got on the stretcher too. And I saw the 25K and I thought to myself, like, I'm back. I was pretty nervous too, because, 5 years prior, I'd gotten out of the 25K. I think my dad, my uncle were there. I think my uncle tells this story where he's not like a religious guy at all. And him and my dad were in like a taxi to go to the venue at the beach or whatever. And my uncle said he just started like praying. He's like, please, like this guy's crazy. Like he's doing 5-hour race. Like hopefully like he doesn't like drown, like he survives, whatever. So hopefully the same thing doesn't happen again. And, but we start the race and 25K is like really slow. And it's funny to say it's really slow because the pace is actually like 112.
Does that feel slow to you? At the time?
At the time, yeah, it feels really slow because you're like taking a bath. Like, because no one wants to lead. Because if you're leading, like,
You're pulling people.
and also like, how long are you going to lead for? Like 4.5 hours, and then you're just going to get passed. You know?
Right.
So no one wants to lead. And then there'll always be some type of rabbit that goes, and then everyone just swims faster to catch up. And I'm swimming really well. I'm like right where I want it to be. And I remember telling myself, I might get a medal here. And I was like, what a story this would be, right? Like not even coming and making a medal. And, I remember going into the last lap. I just like body shut down. It's like 30 minutes left, and it's 10 2.5K laps. But I felt really good on the 9th one. And then for some reason at the end, I just started dying. And I don't know, like part of me feels like if I could change it back, I probably should have taken more of my feeds. Because what I was doing is I would just take like half of it, because I didn't want to feel too full in my stomach, but also probably like depleted some of my like glycogen stores. And whatever, just swam and ended up getting 12th. And it was funny, me and this German guy were next to each other, and we basically were just like, all right, like 100 meters to go, just all out, like see who can get first.
You guys like told each other this?
Well, it was kind of like a, you know, you don't have to say it.
Yeah.
You just looked at each other, and then he took off like way before I thought he was going to take off. I can't. I was like, I'm going to get like 13th, I guess. And I said, no, I got it. So I hadn't kicked for like 24,900 meters. And I just like turned on the jets. I out touched him, and I was super pumped. And then we like
12th.
I got 12th. Yeah. Then we traded caps. And there's this like cool picture of me getting out of the lake where I'm like holding onto these like the ladder, and my tongue's out because I'm like really tired. But yeah, anyways, after that race, I was like, wow, I did it.
Yeah.
You know, like this is good resilience here.
Yeah.
Like, so that's all I have to say about that. But it was fun getting prepared for that, getting the call when you least expect it, and then representing the US on like a world championship stage.
It kind of goes along with what you were saying about like not caring so much.
Yeah.
And like the lead up into the 2021 open water nationals, like you didn't care that much because you were training in a yards pool where it was crowded or whatever. So you didn't really expect anything at the 2021 nationals, and then you ended up making the team, and you weren't even supposed to go, so you didn't even have expectations, and then you ended up going, and you ended up doing pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the last time I competed at like a world championship, but it was great. I couldn't have asked for like a better sort of. It wasn't an ending.
That was the last open water race, though. No, or did you do
no.
more?
Because I did. I swam in 2023 too. So I made national team again. Went to a few of the World Cups. Didn't go as well. We had like our Olympic trials in like Madeira, Portugal, which is like off the coast of Africa. I didn't swim particularly well. I was also struggling again with like some type of like mental like blocks. And I wasn't really enjoying like kind of life at the time. And I was like, what am I going to do after swimming? Like I really love swimming, but you know, when you're at like Harvard, there's a lot of people that, you know, are so focused on their career, right? And you feel like you don't want to get left behind. So in my mind, I had a little bit of a shift. I said like, I need to start focusing on what my life is going to look like after swimming, because I don't want to go, you know, until I'm like 28, 32, whatever that may be. And at least this is how I thought about it. And then be like, what am I going to do after this? Right? Like I love swimming, but I'm also at this, you know, fantastic school that's given me so many resources and a massive network. I should take advantage of this. So that's what happened. And then, you know, I was stressed about that and didn't swim as well and whatever, but got to come into my last semester at Harvard in spring of 2024 and had an absolute blast, because I was like, this is the last time I'm going to be swimming. Let's just see what I can do. And, you know,
you had a pretty good season, right?
Yeah, good season.
15:02?
15:05, I think.
05.
But I mean, like, had you told me I was going to go 15:05 like 4 months before, no way. Because I was barely training.
Yeah.
Like barely training. And I was just struggling a lot. But when I got to school, it's also like, it goes back to this, like, no pressure, right? I'm there just to have fun and enjoy my last season. And I know I haven't trained as much, and it goes back to like, but I'm confident in what I'm doing. So even though my body was not nearly at what it could have been, I was so much more mentally stronger that I was able to compete well. Like we won this big like HYP, which is Harvard, Yale, Princeton. I won the 1,000 there. And I was like, there's no way I should be able to go with like, it wasn't like a crazy fast time. It was like 9:02 or something, but it was like decent.
That's pretty good.
There's no way I should be able to go 9:02.
What pace is that?
It's like 54. 54.2. And yeah, I just remember doing that, and I was like super happy. My teammates were going crazy, and then I realized, okay, like
This is fun.
This is fun.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I wish there was a way that athletes, because I think it's sports' greatest dichotomy that you have to manage. It's like you swim faster if you don't care, but at the same time you're pouring your life into this thing, and like you're making all these sacrifices. How could you not care?
Right.
But the solution to do well is to not care.
Yeah.
For a lot, I'm not saying that approach works for everybody. Some people need that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Some people need, they need to not have a backup plan, right?
Yeah.
And that's how they swim well. But I think for a lot, like a good majority of swimmers, like they do better when there's no expectations. And I always tell people, you just have to not care about it. But it's like, how can we get athletes to have this perspective that we have now, postgraduate, and apply it to the swimmers who have everything on the line?
Yeah. I think it's probably like the biggest struggle. And it's also hard because, swimming, as we all know, is not a sport that like particularly pays well too, right? Like even if you are a pro, top 15 in the world, 2 events, right? Like in open water, I made like $5,000, like in what other...
From national team?
It was like a bonus I got from the national team. I wasn't even getting paid.
It was just
like,
$5,000. Here you go.
It was like, I think it was actually like 2,500. And I think I got $3,000 some other time. So it's not a lot. It's like not a lot of money, especially like in what other discipline are you top 15 in the world and you aren't like, compensated for it. And so that's another big struggle. And, you think like, what am I going to do after this? But I think in going back to sort of your question about like how to, mitigate some of these factors of like not caring. I think it's just trying to think like bigger picture. Dude, like there's something to tell them, like, it's regardless, like it's all going to be okay. But if maybe honestly what would work for me is like, if you care so much, if you care this much, you're going to swim poorly. Maybe someone just telling me straight up, like if you keep on obsessing, you're not going to achieve what like you need to do. And like I said, it's not going to work for everyone. Some people need to have that obsession to do well. I don't know like people off the top of my head, but I know
Patrick Park.
Patrick Park. Like he needs to have that, right? But for me, it would have been helpful to be like, listen, Simon, like you're actually hurting yourself by caring this much. Go do something fun for yourself. It's like, go hang out with like, if you have a bad practice, go out to dinner, something like that to make me not think about it. That would have been helpful. Because even in college, like I'd have bad practice and I didn't want to talk to anyone. Like it's kind of immature thing to do, but you're so obsessed and you feel like if you don't feel bad about it and reflect on it, you're not giving it your all.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the truth. And it's hard to, think about that when it's actually, when you're actually going through
actually
it.
happening.
Yeah.
Man, how dangerous would it be if we could take this mindset and then input it into 13-year-old Simon?
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
You'd be crazy.
Yeah,
I think you'd be world champion.
Yeah, who knows?
Multi-world champion.
You only realize that after.
After the fact.
I realize
right?
that after.
That's the hard part
Yeah.
of sport.
So yeah. And so definitely like I would love to impart that wisdom on, if I ever like, if I have a kid that swims, like, or whatever sport they play or whatever discipline that's an art or whatever it may be, it's like, you don't need to be this obsessive about it to be like number one or be great. For some people, like MP, right? That guy probably needed to be like that obsessed.
He
right?
had to. Yeah.
He had to. But there are other people that I'm sure that you still care a lot and be like obsessed about the sport, but in a healthy way. And because not all obsession in general is not that healthy for you. You're going to sacrifice something. And for me, it sacrificed like my confidence, at least.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Can you leave us a question for our next guest?
Oh, it doesn't have to be deep, right?
It can be as shallow or as deep as you want.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Doritos flavor?
Literally, that's hilarious because I was literally thinking.
Actually?
I was thinking about Doritos like in my head.
Actually,
but it was like a joke. That's because me and Sid had just we had 2 bags of like Doritos the other day. Oh, okay. And I don't get to know who the next guest is, right?
We don't even know.
Yeah, we don't know who the next guest is.
Okay. So I should keep it pretty broad. Give me a sec.
Take as much time as you need.
And do most of these people are typically like swimming related, you'd say, the guests?
I have some people lined up that have nothing to do with swimming.
Okay.
So potentially not swimmers, but I don't know. It depends on their schedule and our schedule. Like Sid's going out of town, so.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay. Oh, dude, this is kind of hard. I didn't think about any questions. Yeah. Cam had a good one.
Cam had a really good one.
Cam had a really
Maybe just go we went deep, so maybe just go super shallow.
Yeah, super shallow.
But it's up to you. It's up to you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, this is actually like I've been seeing this on like TikTok lately, and there's these guys that are obsessed with LeBron, right? And I don't know if you know, I'm like a massive LeBron guy,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, put it for anyone's, whoever they're obsessed with, like some type of idol, whoever that may be, and you're, driving on the way, let's say it's like, let's say you're a guy and you're driving your wife or whoever maybe, and she's giving birth in the car, but you see LeBron on the side of the, you see LeBron or whoever idol on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And he's got a flat tire. Are you stopping to help him out?
I'm stopping. If John Mayer's on the road with a flat tire, I'm stopping.
That's whoever you're obsessed with.
Whoever you're obsessed with, and like, yeah, it's probably or like if it's in a woman's perspective, you're driving like your friend who's about to give birth.
Yeah.
But you see for me it's LeBron. Like, are you stopping?
Are you stopping?
No comment.
So just you're driving and your wife's about to give birth, but you see someone who you're absolutely obsessed with, and
They have a flat tire.
they have a flat tire. Would you stop for them?
Would you stop for them?
No comment means you would stop. Come on now.
I can't incriminate. Plead the fifth.
All right, that's actually a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Okay, where can people find you? Anything we can plug?
JP Morgan.
Wait, actually, don't put that. You can't put that in the pot. No, yeah, I'm just Simon Lamar.
Okay.
Yeah.
At Simon Lamar on Instagram.
Yeah. Moving to SF soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
excited about that?
Yeah, be a good move. Be closer to here. Maybe watch some swim meets. Watch Cal, Stanford guys. Be good.
Cool. All right. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, everyone.